Hi, welcome back to my UGC NET Criminology lecture series. Before I start today's topic, I want you all to go through the link given in the comment and answer the practice questions related to this topic. In order to answer the practice questions, you need to go through this full video. So let's get started. Imagine a world where those who are supposed to make laws are themselves involved in breaking them. Sounds contradictory, right? But this is exactly where the fascinating and complex relationship between crime and politics begins. Crime and politics are deeply intertwined, and understanding this connection is crucial not just for cracking UGC NET, but also for understanding how power operates in society. At its core, crime and politics refer to the interaction between political systems, political actors, and criminal behavior. It explores how political power can both control crime and at times enable or even participate in it. Let's start by understanding the most visible aspect, criminalization of politics. This refers to the increasing participation of individuals with criminal backgrounds in electoral politics. In many democracies, including India, candidates with pending criminal cases contest elections, and surprisingly, many of them win. Why does this happen? One reason is the influence of money and muscle power. These individuals often have strong local dominance, control over resources, and the ability to mobilize voters through fear, loyalty, or patronage. Over time, this creates a dangerous cycle where crime becomes a pathway to political power, and political power in turn protects criminal activity. Now, let's flip the perspective and look at the politicization of crime. This happens when crimes are interpreted, controlled, or manipulated based on political interest. For example, certain crimes may be highlighted or suppressed depending on how they benefit political narratives. Law enforcement agencies may face pressures to act or not act depending on the political climate. This selective enforcement undermines the rule of law and weakens public trust in institutions. It also raises an important question for criminologists. Is crime always about violation of law, or is it also shaped by who holds power? Another crucial dimension is the role of state crime. Unlike conventional crimes committed by individuals, state crimes are illegal or deviant acts committed by government officials or agencies. These include human rights violation, corruption, custodial violence, and misuse of authority. When the state itself becomes a perpetrator, the situation becomes more complex because the very institution responsible for enforcing law is involved in breaking it. This creates a crisis of accountability and raises ethical and legal dilemmas about justice and governance. Closely related to this is political corruption, one of the most studied topics in criminology. Corruption refers to the abuse of public office for private gain. It can take many forms: bribery, embellishment, nepotism, and favoritism. Political corruption not only distorts governance but also fuels inequality and injustice. For instance, when public funds meant for welfare are siphoned off, it indirectly contributes to social problems and even crime. Corruption is not just an economic offense, it is a systematic issue that affects the entire social structure. Now let's talk about the connection between organized crime and politics. Organized criminal groups often establish links with political leaders to gain protection and legitimacy. In return, politicians may use these groups for funding elections, intimidating opponents, or influencing voters. This nexus creates a parallel power structure where illegal networks operate under the shadow of political authority. Over time, this can weaken democratic institutions and blur the line between legality and illegality. Another important theoretical perspective here is the conflict theory, which argues that laws are not neutral but are created by those in power to serve their interest. According to this view, crime is not just an individual act but also a reflection of social and political inequalities. For example, acts committed by powerful individuals may not be labeled as crimes, while similar acts by marginalized groups are harshly punished. This selective labeling highlights how politics influences the definition and enforcement of crime. Let's bring in some real-world context. Electoral malpractices such as vote buying, Both capturing and misuse of state machinery are classic examples of how crime enters the political arena. Similarly, scandals involving large-scale financial frauds often reveal the involvement of political figures. These cases are not just isolated incidents, they reflect structural issues within the political system that allow crime to flourish. So, what are the consequences of this crime political nexus? First, it erodes public trust in democratic institutions. When people see criminals becoming lawmakers, their faith in justice and governance weakens. Second, it leads to political distortion, where decisions are made not for public welfare but for personal or political gain. Third, it creates a culture of impunity. Powerful individuals feel above the law. But it's not all bleak. These are measures to tackle these issues. Electoral reforms, stricter disclosure norms, fast track courts for political cases, and greater transparency in governance can help reduce the influence of crime in politics. Civil society, media, and vigilant citizens also play a crucial role in holding political actors accountable. To sum up, the relation between the crime and politics is not just about criminals entering politics, it's all about how power shapes the definition, control, and consequences of crime itself. For UGC NET aspirants, understanding this topic means going beyond definitions and analyzing the deeper structural connections between law and power and society. And here's a thought to leave you with. When crime enters politics, it doesn't just break laws, it reshapes the very system meant to uphold them. So the real question is, are we just studying crime or are we studying power? Don't forget to subscribe.